We have to open our schools. Open our schools. Stop this nonsense. We open our schools. Germany, Norway, so many countries right now, they're open. The schools are open, and they're doing just fine.
22 European countries reopened their schools back in May, and it did not lead to any significant increase in coronavirus infections among children, parents, or staff. That hasn't changed in the months since. In fact, more evidence has emerged that not only are children far less susceptible of getting sick from the coronavirus, they're also not transmitting it. But extended school shutdowns have had an adverse effect on kids' mental, emotional, and physical health. So why are Democrats trying to make it controversial to go to school? Why does Nancy Pelosi ignore the science and say, quote, going back to school presents the biggest risk? Why is Bill de Blasio limiting school to only 1 to 3 days a week this fall? Because just like Democrats block low-income kids from leaving failing schools to get a better education, the teachers' unions tell them to. Let's explore. From the beginning of the pandemic from communist China, we've known that children are at extremely low risk from the coronavirus. But over time, the risks of keeping schools closed has become far greater. A French study of over 1,300 people in an outbreak found just 3 probable cases among kids, and they didn't lead to more infections among adults. Rather than the rumored fear-mongering of kids as, quote, super spreaders, it was parents who had infected their offspring, not the other way around. Another study in Ireland examining 1,000 contacts between 3 kids who had the virus, aged 10 to 15, did not find a single transmission in the school setting, even at choir practice. The results, researchers said, quote, echo the experience of other countries where children are not emerging as considerable drivers of transmission of COVID-19.
Just let the experts speak.
Yet the media ignores these facts. CNN declares President Trump, quote, takes new risks with schools. Well, let's follow their logic. It's actually much riskier to go to school during a normal flu season. The risk to kids under 15 of dying from the flu or pneumonia is up to 20 times higher than the coronavirus. Kids are 128 times more likely to die of an accident. Should we cancel school and recess forever? While kids are not likely to get sick or spread the virus, locking schools down has been terrible for their health. The American Academy of Pediatrics says school closures leads to social isolation, leaving physical or sexual abuse to go unreported, and increases risk of substance use, depression, and suicide. Dr. Sean O'Leary, a pediatrics infectious disease specialist at the University of Colorado, says schools must reopen because it is, quote, so important for the kids, but really for the entire community. Dr. Gavin Morgan, an educational psychologist in the UK, says continuing to deprive kids of playing with their friends will cause their mental health to suffer, quote, irreparably.
We're really seeing just how important it is to follow science.
Yes, we need to listen to scientists and experts, and I really hope that that stays.
Well, it didn't. Democrats never really cared about the science. It's all about politics. Just like they demonized a 60-year-old FDA-approved drug to treat the virus, now they're politicizing reopening schools. When the teachers' unions say close, Democrats say how long. If you have to guess, it's about until November 4th. Democrats don't do what's best for America. They do what's best for the swamp. That's why Joe Biden says,
This is going to be a teacher-oriented Department of Education. You don't just have a partner in the White House. You'll have an NEA member in the White House.
And you thought kids were supposed to come first. Just like the science says it's safe to reopen our schools, the data shows students achieve higher when they have school choice. In New York City, 2 kids can go to school in the same building, but receive markedly improved results with choice. Thomas Sowell reports fewer than 10% of students in public school classrooms reach the proficient level, while the majority of those in school choice lottery classrooms reached proficiency, with many grade levels at over 80% proficient. In Wisconsin, charter and private schools cost just 2/3 of the funding, but consistently outperform public schools. In Florida, students enrolled in the recently expanded private school choice program are up to 99% more likely to enroll in college. Yet Democrats continue to block this opportunity, like Governor Tom Wolf, who's stopping 50,000 kids from receiving scholarships in Pennsylvania. And what's the first thing Joe Biden would do? Just like his predecessor, hike taxes and take away minority kids' education opportunities in Washington, D.C. That means 1,700 kids, 83% who are Black with an average family income of $26,000, will be kicked out of school.
Is there any doubt in anyone's mind why we're endorsing Joe Biden?
Teachers' unions first, kids last. The National Education Association, the American Federation of Teachers, and others give a lot to Democrats. In 2016, they gave over $33 million, 93%, to Democrats. So far this cycle, teachers' unions have contributed over $15 million to Democrats, and they expect to be rewarded. The Trump administration is actually putting kids first. In April, the Department of Education announced $65 million in new grants for public charter schools, 95% of which will go to opportunity zones, helping kids in most need. Education Freedom Scholarships are providing $5 billion in federal tax credits to finance choice scholarships annually.
We have to get our schools open and stop this political nonsense. And it's only political nonsense. It's politics.
President Trump will always put Americans first, of all backgrounds, of all ages, to ensure they all have an equal shot at the American dream.